Hello everyone. I decided to use voice over PowerPoint instead of written words. For your response in this discussion, we're going to try different ways as well. Maybe record your voice or do a video. With the rapid change, especially nowadays, we can't ignore the global and diversity issue when we discuss business and organizations. It's very important for us to understand the organizational behavior in the globalized world. So in this presentation, I would like to discuss some interesting psychology research to better help you understand how and why people think and behave differently, especially compare Easterners versus Westerners, or we say collectivistic versus individualistic cultures.
So before we start, I have a question for you. Use some time to think about this question. If you invited a guest to visit your home and you served some tea after the cup is empty, how do you ask people whether more tea is wanted? What would you say? Okay, so among these two options, would you more likely to say, do you do you want more tea, or would you like to drink more? Among these two options, Westerners are more likely to say, would you like more tea? While Easterners are more likely to use the way to say, would you like to drink more? Westerners, in this case, Westerners emphasize on the non-tea, while Easterners focus on the verb drink to express the relationship between the person and the tea. Easterners typically think of interactions between individuals and objects, so they tend to use more verb. While on the other hand, Westerners may focus on people and tea as separate objects. But keep in mind that this is just the general tendency of Easterners and Westerners. It doesn't mean that every person from Westerner will use the first option, while everyone use the in the Eastern world use the second option. It's just a general tendency. Another example is that um, when I ask you the question among the three objects, which two do you think go together? So this question was asked for Americans or for some East Asians, and the results show that most Americans say that monkey and panda go together because they are both animals. But majority of the East Asian participants are more likely to say that monkey goes with banana because monkey eat banana. So Americans seeing the word as categories, while Easterners are more likely to see the word in relationships. How are these different cognitive styles being formed? There are various reasons, and one of the possible reasons is the subsistence pattern or the settlement pattern in the ancient world. Whether you're from a hunting culture or agriculture culture will lead to different styles, either field dependent or field independent. In the hunting societies, you need to focus on the object, the prey, while if you're from an agriculture society, you depend highly on the overall environment, the whole community, the weather, etc. And that leads to different types of culture, collectivistic and individualistic culture. For people who are in the collectivistic culture, they believe things are interrelated. Um, they focus more on the relationship. there are various factors that's involved in the event. The contact is important. It depends on the contact that are more sensitive to the contact. Well, for individualistic culture, people tend to think the objects exist by themselves and can be defined by their attribute. So they are more independent of the contact. They focus more on the object instead of the contact. Um, this was a research by in 2001. I would like you to think about this question as well. So just observe this picture. I will give you 15-20 seconds to observe this and try to remember what's in the picture. Okay, now don't look at a picture. Turn to another side, either write down or try to recall what's in the picture. Try to describe what you observed in the picture. Give you 10 seconds for that. Okay, so I would like you to share what you recall from this picture in the discussion board, but share what's the experimental results in this case. They did several tasks for the participants in this study. The first one is recall task. Well, the results show that Americans are more likely to focus on the individual objects. So when we asked the American participants to describe what did you see, they're more likely to tell the experimenter that there were 5 fishes. What are the numbers? What are the objects in the picture? Well, when they ask the Japanese participants, they're more likely to talk about the background and the relationship. For example, they would say 3 of the fishes swim to the left, 2 smaller ones swim to the right, and there are bubbles going up. So they're more likely to discuss the movement, the overall environment, what is happening interrelated. So, background. Japanese participants did way better because when they observed the picture, they observed the fish together with the background. Well, if you look at the novel background, when they changed the background, the Japanese participants did way worse because they couldn't recognize it because of the change of the background. Because in Japanese culture, it's more collectivistic, it's more contact dependent. While in American culture, it's more individualistic, it's more contact independent. That's why even when the background changes, as long as the object doesn't change, they still recognize that fish. So that's the first study I would like to share. The second study
This is a test
focuses
of
on the
selective
change
attention.
blindness. So before we
Count
talk
how many
about this,
times the
I would
players
like you
wearing
to
white
watch a
pass the
video
basketball.
first.
This is a test of selective attention. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. How many passes did you count? The correct answer is 15 passes. But did you see the gorilla? How many passes did you count? The correct answer is 15 passes. But did you see the gorilla? This video is from research by Daniel Simons and Christopher Chabris and is copyrighted. It is available for use in talks, training, and teaching on DVDs from VizCog Productions. By Daniel Simons and Christopher Chabris and is Learn more at theinvisible-gorilla.com. It is available for use in talks, training, and teaching on DVDs.
So, did you guess this? Did you have the right guess of how many passes? Did you see the gorilla? Please share your results in the discussion board as well. Well, some of you, I guess most of you will get the correct counts, but I guess many of you ignore the existence of the gorilla as well. This is the tendency for people that you normally fail to recognize the marked change in the surroundings. And what do you ignore? It actually depends on which culture you are from as well. People from different culture ignore different changes in the background. So I would like you to do another quick experiment. So where did you notice the change depends on your cognitive style, depends on. And another interesting study conducted in 2008 where they asked people to interpret the emotional expression. So the question is, how happy do you think the boy in the middle is? If I give you a scale from 0 to 10, where 0 represents not happy at all and 10 represents extremely happy, what would be the number? What's the level of happiness of the boy in the center? Please write down your number. And same question for this picture. Please evaluate the happiness of the boy in the center from 0 to 10. 0 is not happy at all, 10 is extremely happy. What is your results? Well, for this study, results show that when Westerners see the object, they separate them from the background. Westerners separate the object, which is the boy, and interpret the meaning of this boy in the center itself. Analyze the boy in the center by itself. Ignoring the people in the background, what's their emotions in the background. Differently, Easterners are more likely to focus on the background people. Whether they look happy or not happy will determine how do they interpret the emotional expression of the boy in the center.
He still looks kind of happy.
Okay, then let's see. So now you can see the different reactions from Easterners and Westerners. Well, when the Easterners look at the second picture, when the people in the background are angry and not happy, they interpret the happiness, the facial expression of the boy differently. He might be awkward, he might be in a different situation, he might be, did something embarrassed. So to make the study more strict, what the researchers did is that they use a technique called eye traction. They track how the eye movement is for participants from Eastern culture and from Western cultures. And result is very interesting. Well, for Westerners, people are more likely to focus on the boy if your question is only about the boy. Well, for Easterners, people eye movement will be wider. They will assess the environment. They will assess who are in the background before they make a decision of how happy the boy is, which shows that they are more contact dependent than Westerners. You see some drawing work. It's interesting as well. The way that painters, the artists deal with the background is very different. Easterners are more likely to include the whole body. Well, Easterners are more likely to focus on the face, the person themselves. And idea, do you have any friends from different culture? Did you notice any difference of the profile pictures of people from different culture on Facebook? Please share what did you notice or what do you know about it on the discussion board. And I would like to share another study to this where they asked the participants to take a picture of the same girl, the same model, and then they calculated the percentage of the head comparing to the whole frame of Easterners and Westerners. And if you see the results, it's surprisingly super significant. Well, for Westerners, American participants, they are more likely to focus on the girl, the face of the girl. While for Easterners, they're more likely to include the whole background when they are asked to take the picture. And this is the difference of the percentage comparing to American East Asian participants. So you can see the huge difference among two different cultures. And then that's the conclusion of the study we discussed in this presentation, including the fish report, where Westerners focus more on the main fish, Easterners focus on the context as well. In the change blindness study, Westerners are more likely to find the changes in focal objects, while Easterners are more likely to find the changes in the context. For the emotion study, in the eye movement results, Westerners are more likely to check for the boy, and then they're more likely to have consistent judgment of the emotions in different pictures, while Easterners are more likely to be influenced by the backgrounds, and they are more likely to go to the context to find information. And for the last study, the Westerners are more object-oriented, while Easterners are more context-oriented. And if you're interested in this, any of the studies, here are the references, the citation of them, and feel free to discuss them with me as well. And I would like you to share what you learned from this presentation, and how do you think this will be applied to your future work. Thank you very much.